Hello folks and welcome back to more, I don't know, Redstone videos. It's been a while since I've done these. I actually had to take some time away from these for a little while, had some big personal matters to take care of, and a lot of work to take care of. They kind of demanded my time, and these videos don't really have much of an audience yet, so we're just kind of winging it here. But I really do want to still do these videos. I feel like they're really important and could be really helpful once the whole catalog starts to come together. So without any further rambling from me, let's just get on and talk about something that's going to be really important in the videos to come, and that's the command block that you see behind me. It looks different in my texture pack, obviously, so just remember that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to dive in and start talking about what the command block is. I'm not a command block pro, but I do know enough about it that I feel like I can cover the essentials, and then as we get into more applications later down the line, we can talk about those. Okay, so we're back to a nice bright sunny day, and we're checking out the command blocks here. Like I said, running a texture pack, so they look a little bit different than the normal texture pack. But what is the command block? The command block is a block that performs a command. Seems pretty simple, right? So any commands that you do through the text chat, stuff like that. So if you said, for example, give elusive Euphoria stone 1, that gives you 1 piece of stones. There you go. That would be an example of a command that can be pulled off with a command block. Now there are tons of other commands within the game. Some that are exclusively restricted to server operators and stuff like that. But the command block can also accept things like JSON code and other things like that. It opens up a whole other world of things that can be done. It's a great utility for map builders and map makers, people that want to make mini games and other contraptions. It's unbelievable. But the trick of the matter is that you have to in single player either be in creative mode to get it, or you have to be the server operator on a multiplayer server. So this isn't something that you're going to be getting in like single player survival kind of thing. You can't craft it. The whole purpose of this is for owners and operators to use it, and strictly to be used in creative mode. And even in creative mode, when you go into your menu, you're not going to find it in any of these menus. The only way you can obtain it is actually by entering the command give, or whatever, so-and-so give command block. But what I've done to demonstrate this is I've entered that exact command into my, whatchamacallit, the command block here. So it says give elusive Euphoria command block. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it some redstone signal, and the idea is that it performs the command when it receives redstone signal. So here we go, and it gave me a command block. So here it is. You just place it on the ground, right-click it, and type in whatever command you want. So now that we've got that established, let's move on to what types of things you can do with it. Okay, so like I said, with these command blocks, we can perform specific commands. So let's focus on one command that would be kind of fun, which would be kill command. Now, ordinarily, if I just type /kill, this would kill myself. If I supplied it with a player name, it would kill the player. But since we have no player named player in the game right now, it's not going to kill anybody. But the command blocks actually have these fun little things called selectors. So you have these different types of selectors. You have @P, which represents target of all, or the nearest player. @R, random player. I mean, you can read these, right? A, all players. E, entities. So this bit right here, we have @E is targeting all entities. And really quick before we move on, entities are really a lot more than I think most people think of. The player is an entity. All hostile and friendly mobs are entities. Minecarts and boats are entities. Item frames are entities. Basically anything that really isn't a solid block is considered an entity. Buttons aren't, but hopefully you get the picture that there are a lot of things that are considered entities. And we don't want to kill all of these things because, believe it or not, when you try to kill a minecart by targeting all entities, it does happen. You destroy the minecart. So it would be helpful to basically supply an argument to that selector to specify exactly what we want to kill. Okay, so in this command block we've done kill @E, so targeting all entities with the type equal of creeper, and that's it. really quick, just going to point out I didn't need the first slash here that you'd ordinarily do in text chat to do a command. You can put it in there. It won't hurt it at all. But by and large, you do not need it at all when you're entering these into the command blocks. It just knows that slash is supposed to be there. Okay, so we've changed this to kill creepers. So let's go ahead and get a couple items out here. Let's get a creeper and something else that won't die in the sunlight. We'll get a spider and maybe a slime. We'll do a slime. Okay. And we got to change it to at least normal. So we're going to change difficulty to normal. And we're going to spawn a creeper, a spider, and a slime. And my goodness, that's loud. Okay. So we have these three. You know, we have tons of entities now. We have slimes all over the place, obviously. But we have this creeper right here. Come on, say hi, creeper. All right, whatever. He's shy today. So we want to kill him. Because he's being shy, we want him dead. So we're going to push this button, and he's been killed. And just like he would normally, he dropped his gunpowder here, and the spider was unscathed. But we're going to go ahead and switch back to peaceful here and get rid of everything. So there we go. Okay, so that's how you do command block targets or selectors or whatever, and how you supply them specific arguments so that you can do very fine-tuned things. So let's move on to another command. Let's look at this command here. And now we have a private message to the nearest player with game mode 2. And game mode 2 happens to be, let me see if I can remember correctly, game mode 2 would be adventure mode. Okay, so we're going to whisper to a player that has adventure mode, the nearest player with adventure mode. Now I happen to be the only player, so I am the nearest player. And it's going to say, hi, this is private, I hate you. Really nice and comforting. Okay, so let's push the button. Now, you're going to notice that I'm in creative mode right now, so I push the button, I get no response. So let me go ahead and change my game mode to 2. So now I push the button, and it whispers, hi, this is private, I hate you. And you'll notice that it had that little @ symbol there in the beginning. Turns out, you can change that. So I wasn't really planning on doing this, but I'm going to show you anyways. What I'm going to go ahead and do is copy this message, because we're going to end up getting rid of this block here. Okay, done. Let's get ourselves the button, and we'll just break everything here. So what we're going to do is place this command block, copy this. Whoops. Let me try this again. So what I'm going to do is place this anvil, and I'm going to take this command block, and I'm going to give it a name. The name is going to be called private message. Okay? Now, I could put in some JSON code or whatever to make this private message name have a different color, but just bear with me now. We're going to create a command block named private message. So there we go. We have this command block with private message. We're going to go ahead and place it right here. And we're going to paste in the exact same command that we had in before. So now it's in there. I'm going to go ahead and put the button on there and click it. Again, I'm in creative mode right now, so it's not doing anything. So now I'm in adventure mode. Let's go ahead and push the button. And now you see it says private message whispers to you. So you could call it private message machine or something like that, whatever you want to call it. But the idea is whatever you name the command block, that's what it's going to show you. If it's a chat message or something like that, or if it's something that comes up in the chat dialog, it will come up with that name. So there you go. Okay, so let's say you had a command that you wanted to run continually and always checking. The idea then is that you would attach a clock to the command block. So we've got one of our standard one tile wide simple clocks. It's just a simple clock. All it is a repeater or whatever. But we've got one missing component to it, and what I'm going to do is turn it on. But before I do, I'm going to show you the command inside here. So we have another tell command. We're talking to all players within the radius of 5. So this argument R means like a maximum radius, I think is what the official term is, but it means a radius between, it's defining a region from the command block as center out to a radius of whatever you've defined, and it's going to affect the targets within that radius. There is another one, we're going to talk about that next, but anyway, so we've got radius and says you are close to the command block. So that's what we're going to say. It's going to tell all players within a radius of 5 that you are close to the command block. So let's go ahead and place that final piece of the clock down and let it run. All players within 5, it's saying you are close to the command block. Every time it's being activated by the clock, it's saying that. Now I'm going to back off, and I'm going to go ahead and type something. You can see it's not saying anything to me. I'm going to get a little bit closer each time. You notice as soon as I'm within 5 blocks, and this is a circular radius, not a cube or box radius. It's an actual circle. So as soon as I'm within that, there you go. I'm close to the command block. So let's move on to this second clock here. We have a similar type of command here, but you'll notice we supplied it with 2 arguments. The 2 arguments now are a minimum radius and a normal radius like we saw before. So we are targeting all players within a 10 block radius, but what this minimum radius means is that we're only going to target the players that are outside of the minimum radius. So we've basically created a ring. We're excluding anyone who's closer than 5 blocks to the command block, but we're including everyone who's within 10 blocks. So it's this sort of, it's a donut around the command block that we're now going to target. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this one on. And notice that I'm right next to it, and it has not said that I'm in the right spot. There's a line there, but that's just telling me that I set the command block. So I'm going to back away, and when I get 5 blocks away, it's telling me that I'm in the right spot, and then if I move really far away, it stopped talking to me. See, it's done talking, but then when I get within 10, it should start talking again. There we go. So we're within 10, and then we're going to move really close to it, and it stops. Okay, so moving on to our next little example, we've got another command block here, and it has another very familiar command, the TP command. We're targeting the nearest player, but you'll notice we've got some funky symbols or some funky values in here that don't make much sense right off the bat, but I'll explain it to you. So the TP command works where most people are familiar with it, where you'd say TP the player you want to TP and then the target that you want to go to. The target could be another player, so player name, but it also could be a set of coordinates on where you want to teleport that player. In the command block, you can use, and actually I think in chat as well, you can use both absolute coordinates, which you can get from the F3 screen. You can see where I'm standing right now. The X, Y, and Z, those are absolute coordinates. But you can also use relative coordinates. Now, depending on the command you're using with the command block, those relative coordinates could be either one of 2 things. They could be relative to the command block, or they could be relative to the target that's been specified. In terms of the TP command, it's relative to the player. So whoever's being targeted, it's going to TP them from their original position to a relative position from them. So to make that perfectly clear, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to knock out 5 blocks from this command block here. And before I hit the button, I'm going to explain it a little bit more because I realize I kind of jumped over here. What I have here are the relative coordinates. And you'll notice I have 3 values here. I have a tilde. This symbol here is called a tilde. It's in your keyboard all the way in the upper left. You hold shift, hit that key all the way in the upper left on your keyboard, and that's a tilde. So I have 1 tilde here, meaning that it's relative to exactly where the target is in the X direction. In the Y direction, we're going to target them 10 blocks in the positive Y, and then in Z direction, same thing. Whatever the original Z was, it's going to be the same as the target Z. So what we should expect to experience from this particular command is for it to teleport us up 10 blocks in the air. And that's exactly what it does. Okay, but to prove the point that it's relative to the player and not the command block, I'm going to type in an extra value here you saw before, the 5. So this is 5 in the positive X, and if I open F3, you can see I'm facing east, which is towards positive X. Okay, so this command block is basically saying teleport the player 5 blocks in the positive X direction and 10 blocks in the positive Y. So this should move us forward in the X direction and up in the Y direction. Okay, now if the relative point that it was referencing was the command block, I would expect to land on this block right here. Okay, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stand away from it, and I'm going to push the button. And since I'm about 2 blocks away, you could expect that I'm going to be about 2 blocks back. I should land right there. Okay, I'm going to mark it with an anvil here. I expect to land right where that anvil is if I stand right here and push the command block. And wouldn't you know it, I landed right on that anvil. Okay, so when you're using the TP command, it's targeting the player and it's relative to the player. But in other situations, it could be relative to the command blocks. There are commands like clone and fill and things like that. Those are going to be relative to the command block and not the player, because they're not targeting the player, they're targeting chunks of earth. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about how we can target a very specific region. In here, I've got another tell command And I'm targeting all players, but now you can see I've supplied it with a lot more arguments. I've supplied it with an X, a Y, and a Z, and then other arguments referred to as DX, DY, DZ. If nobody in watching this video has taken calculus, what DX, DY, DZ means a change in. It's referred to like so you can think of it as delta if you're familiar with like a delta X means a change in X. So what we're really saying here is we're defining one corner of the region, and then we're saying go 2 in the positive X, 1 in the positive Y, and 2 in the positive Z. You see the coordinates here are 2, 9, 8 for X, 4 for Y, 7, 6, 2 for Z. Okay, now those happen to be the same coordinates as this corner here, and then I've gone 2 in the positive X, 2 in the positive Z, and then 1 in the positive Y. So from this corner, that's led to 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 1 in the positive Y, would mean that it's a player height-sized cube of a region. So theoretically, when I go stand inside that region, once I turn this clock on, it should start talking to me. So it's talking to all players inside the region. So see here, I'm inside the region. I step outside the region. See, I'm outside of it. Step back into it. It's talking to me. Step outside of it. Stop talking to me. Over here. As long as I'm standing on the perimeter of it, it's not going to do it, but as soon as I'm inside it, there we go. I'm inside it. So I've selected a region using that command there, and it's acting on everything inside here. Okay, folks, so that'll do it for this video. I realize we only just scratched the surface, but I really feel like I'd like to make command blocks appear as though they're not that complicated. Try to make them feel inviting, because I know they can be complicated, and I don't even understand everything that can be done with them. But the point is, I feel like I'm going to try to inject more of the complexity of command blocks as we get to more applications for them. I feel like that'll be easier. But until then, if you are curious, go ahead and check out minecraftwiki.net and look up command blocks, or excuse me, look up commands on the website, and you should be able to learn a lot about what you can do with command blocks just by playing around with different commands. If for some reason I edited this out of the video earlier, I do want to put a disclaimer on command blocks. They're limited to server operators and people in creative mode who know how to give themselves the command block for a specific reason. It's because they can do a lot of damage to a game world or a server. Reason being, think about it like this. Let's say you had a command block that was running on a clock that was a very fast clock, and it was targeting all players and killing them. Now, what are you going to do when you have to stop that block from running? That clock's going to keep ticking, and it's going to keep killing you, and you won't be able to get to it. So you'd have to either TP yourself to the block, so you'd have to know where it is, or you'd have to do a command block in chat and do a command to remove the block. So it's very critical that when you're doing command blocks that you're very sure that the command you've put in is correct, that it's not going to TP you continually across the world or keep killing people in the server. And not only that, but you know where in the game world those command blocks exist. I say that because there might be a situation where, yes, even when you've been careful, you've screwed something up. I've done it myself. But thankfully, I had some knowledge about where the broken command block was, and I was able to, at the time, what I did was I went in text chat and TP'd myself close to where the command block was and broke it. There are other ways of doing it. You can do a command to fill command blocks, the region with the command blocks with air, replacing them so that they're no longer there. But that's really important. So be very careful with command blocks. If you're just learning them, things can go horribly wrong with them, but they can also make some really amazing things happen in the game. But yeah, just remember they're mainly for people who know what they're doing, and but anybody can learn how to know what they're doing, basically, is what I'm saying. So, I've rambled long enough. Hopefully, this catalog continues to grow, and eventually we'll reach our audience, because I know this channel hasn't quite hit its stride yet. It doesn't bother me, because I like making these videos, and they're fun. So, until next time, later guys. Adios. Peace.
You